Welcome to Courage, Dear Heart. This is Charli Wall, and I'm joined by the very lovely Kat Chidiac. I didn't actually ask you, do you prefer Kat or Catherine?
Oh, well, Catherine just sounded a bit more official when I put it on the book. But you call me Kat.
Can I call you Kat? Welcome, Kat.
Thanks, Charli. Pleasure to be here.
You're so welcome. And I wanted to talk to you for some time. As I always say, these podcasts are live streamed into my free Facebook group, the Freedom Group, which is ladies only. So there'll be people here watching us live. And this is part 2 in a series around mental health for young people and children. And that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I've known you, I think, for a couple of years now through the very lovely Elizabeth Lovius. And I know you've just released a book, but before we go into that, can you tell the listeners and anyone who's watching a little bit about you, please?
So, it's always funny when I write my bio, because I just tend to do whatever I like, which it's not very good on a CV, because I kind of like, I've had a beauty salon, and then I had a design thing, and I did some jewelry, and I've got my kids, and now I'm doing this, the other thing. So I kind of what you would call a creative in inverted commas. So I started off as a designer and creative director, and I started a business. I've always been a bit entrepreneurial as well, just sort of flying by the seat of my pants, which is pretty much what I'm still doing.
Yeah.
I came across, I know I can talk about the principles because people are a little bit familiar with that in your podcast, is that right?
Most people are. Some of them won't be. The Circle Sisters definitely will be when we go into them later. But for those women who may be listening to this who haven't got a clue, I mean, they might have heard me speak about it. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is, first to sort of caveat that, I really struggled when I was young, in my early 20s, and I went into, what we call 12-step recovery. And it sort of set me on a spiritual path, if you like, quite young. And I was looking for answers. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to do better, feel better, all of that good stuff, like most of us, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite understand why I particularly couldn't seem to get it right. It was like everybody else kind of looked a bit like they might have a bit more together than me. And so I got really busy in my 20s, actually, with self-help, and looking for answers. And in my 30s, I think I'd kind of given up. I was a bit like, nothing really works. And, I'd signed up to years of therapy. I still felt, can I sort of curse?
You can swear, you can.
I felt like crap when I felt like crap. So and really what happened, one of my very good friends said to me, you've got to come to this thing. And I was like, oh, no more things. Fed up with things. What thing? Still like, oh, what thing? I said, you've got to come to this talk with this guy. And I was a bit like, Anyway, I kind of didn't do anything with her for a while. And then I just was not feeling great that week. And I just thought, I'll go to the thing. And it was George Pransky, a man called George Pransky, doing a talk on stress. And I was listening to George talk about stress. And he said, I think this sums up the principles quite well. He was talking about stress. And I kind of just really liked the vibe. He was very chilled. And then this man in the audience got really annoyed. He was like, I'm here to hear about stress, and you've told me nothing to do about my stress. And he's like, oh, you want me to tell you what to do about your stress? And the guy was like, yes. He was like, oh, do you mean like turn off your phone and go to bed and that kind of stuff? He was like, yes. He was like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, ooh. This. Because I don't like people telling me what to do generally. I don't know about you, Charli, but I don't do that well.
No, I'm
go to bed. So anyway, the way he handled it, I was really curious. He did it in a way that I was like, okay, this is good. I like this. You know, because what he said was, look, I'm going to talk to you about how stress is created. And then what you decide to do about that, it's going to be your wisdom type thing. That's definitely paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like hooked from the start. And so I just got very involved very quick, because I'm that person that's just like, oh, what is this? And went all in. So I started doing design work with people, and I started working with the Innate Health Centre, and then I started working with iHeart to teach the principles, develop a curriculum we would teach in schools. And I started teaching it in schools with them, which I absolutely loved and taught me so much. And so
can I just take you back a little bit, just because I know we sort of mentioned the book, and then you told that lovely story. I'd love to hear what it was for you, and I know that you kind of, it piqued your interest when you heard George Pransky speak, but you said, you know, you'd been a seeker and life had been difficult. What was it for you that the principles helped you see more clearly?
So it's been a little bit of a dance. I saw straight away. I think this just keeps coming into my mind, so I'm just going to share it. I ran up to Stacey after one of the little talks they were doing. I said, "So you mean I get to go around the Monopoly board and go past go, collect 500, and like I don't go to jail? I just can keep going." And I think she understood what I meant. It meant like I can kind of play. I can play this game of life and sort of not take it so seriously and not be so afraid of doing it wrong or getting kicked into the jail, you know, like losing everything and landing on your hotel, or, you know, it's just like I could just sort of play and have fun. And it's sort of slightly twinkly eye territory, because, you know, life is just doesn't have to be as bad as we make it, you know, like bad things happen, but somehow we make it, we have this capacity to create so much hell for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot of people know that, like me, and we have a sense of it, that we are sort of somehow creating it. And so we get busy and we try and work out, well, how is that? And what do I need to do? And maybe I should do that. Maybe I should. And we just get real busy trying to be better and not create the hell that we create.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we don't need to do any of that. You know,
So there's less to do than you think, right?
It's just less to do than we think. And, you know, we just tend to want to be somewhere we're not, you know.
So what was the impact? What was the impact that this had, that this realization had, that you wouldn't go to jail and you could play?
When I talk about going to jail, what I mean is that things just look real serious. You know, it looked like if me and my husband were rowing, or, you know, I wasn't getting things right, it was very serious for my children. I was very scared about my children and getting it wrong, you know, being a bad mum. I just felt like I'd probably get it wrong. There was just this sense that if there was a way to get it wrong, I would probably do that. So I had to try really hard, you know, to do a good job and, you know, be a good mum. And, you know, I think it's just this overwhelming sense of just constantly wanting to be somewhere I wasn't, you know, look away I didn't look, weigh something I didn't weigh, earn something I wasn't earning, be the kind of mum that had Tupperware with fruit in it all the time, you know, just being something that I kind of wasn't. You know what I mean, right?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely know what you mean. Yes, I am not that mum either. In fact, I don't even have a fruit bowl.
kind of rotting through that. Yeah, I think there's just this, it was just always this sense of, I don't know, I'd call it, it's a, you know, people say words like insecurity or low self-esteem, or And you kind of know what they mean, but when you just live that, it's sort of meaningless, because you just think you're slightly wrong. That's the come from, right?
Yeah.
And a constant feeling of being judged.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you put that out there in the world, like it may be other people that will judge you, but actually
It's us.
This is an inside job.
Okay, so you were working for iHeart, which is takes this understanding that you and I teach into schools. And so what was it that got you interested in working with young people and then subsequently writing the book?
So rightly or wrongly, this is what I'm thinking at the moment. I kind of see, like, for most of us, you know, when we're quite young, we kind of find ways to cope with life that help a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for some of us, that might be going out, drinking, taking everything there is to take to get a bit high and, you know, feel good. For some of us, that's controlling our body, you know, working real hard, getting the grades, you know, whatever your flavor.
Yeah.
There's a certain point, I think, that we kind of go off track into our little muse that we kind of can hang out in. We go off this yellow brick road of life where, you know, as a kid, we just kind of roll in with whatever is. However bad your family is, you kind of, you know, you can still have fun with your friends. You know, there's this sort of, you can still, I see it in kids all the time, you know, they're on the floor 1 minute crying like the world's about to end, and then they're up having fun.
Yeah.
You know, and at some point, on this sort of yellow brick road of life, I kind of think of it as where we're just, you know, I'll have a cup of tea, I'll get dinner tonight, you know, what shall we eat? Chicken, as Elizabeth says. You know, it's that kind of, you know, we overlook this sort of just, you know, doing the do of life. You know, what should we watch on telly? Oh, let's watch this. You know, we just doing life, and then we go off into these little ways of thinking, and they're probably familiar to us. You know, we all have our flavor of should be doing that, or could be doing that, or shoulda, woulda, coulda, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of us women, that's body, diet, it's where we get the highs is where we get the lows, you know, often, you know, that's the way I see it. So I can't remember what you asked me. I went off on a complete yellow brick road tangent there.
No, we've got the name of the podcast at least, anyway. Follow the yellow brick road.
On the yellow brick road.
I was curious, and I really like what you said there about where we get the highs is where we get the lows, because that really resonates for me, and particularly as someone who also struggled with, you know, body image and substances and alcohol, all of which created the highs and the lows. So I think my question was around what made you decide to write this book for young people, you know, try to help young people. Like, what was it? What is it about them that you love?
I think first of all, I'm quite interested in developing ways to connect, right? You know, we talk about thought and consciousness and mind, and, you know, there's a way that we can talk about things that, you know, might be hard to grasp. Mm-hmm. It might be hard to, well, what's that? And what, you know, and it's words, and we're pointing to something, but it's, you know, and so I feel like part of the game that I was playing was trying to develop language that connects to young people, especially. And that felt a bit fun. You know, what I realized when I was teaching young people, and especially kind of wayward, naughty ones, it's like they don't want well-being. They want to thrive. You know, they want cool stuff. They want money. They want, one boy said, I want a G-Wagon and 3 girls. I was like, or a Brazilian butt lift I got. You know, they want stuff, right? You're young. You looks like that's the answer to all your problems. You know, if you can go to Ibiza this summer and win the lottery, and you know, that's going to feel good, and it probably will for a bit. And I love that energy of that. I want that for you too. I want you to live and enjoy, you know, all the things that all our fellow humans have created, you know, and it felt fun. You know, there was something in it that felt fun, sort of creating cool stuff. You know, these amazing creative young people I'm meeting. It's, you know, maybe they're into music, or they want to be a DJ, or they want to do something with cars, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose back to this point about Yellow Brick Road, I know where I was going with that. It's kind of, yeah, my little off the Yellow Brick Road. There's something around, you know, when we're young, we haven't got 20 years of doing that and causing ourselves a lot of pain. But there's maybe a little nudge, a little, it's not so much of a, oh my God, I've been doing this all my life and I didn't need to type. But it's more of like,
that's what happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. What? I didn't need to do any of that. Whereas with young people, it's a bit more like, oh yeah, maybe. You know, it's a bit more of a little nudge back home, you know, back to presence. I'm going to say, I feel like children teach us a thing or two about being present generally. That's generalization, but generally, you know, there was something that it's almost like, because we sort of going so off track, all of us, and into a world where it looks like we've got to do more, have more, be better, be, you know.
Yeah.
There was something around just kind of nudging them back to something within them that would sustain them. And if they could get a sense of that. And, you know, there's a lot of people orientating around truth now. So it's just keeping nudging us. I mean, for me too, right? Just little nudges back into life, out of the hell we might start creating in our minds, and into life, into presence, into I'll do the dishes, you know. It's quite mundane for me at times, Charlie.
Well, is it? I mean, are there any ordinary moments?
Well, I feel like I do the dishwasher a lot. And I am very grateful that I've got a dishwasher, can I just say? Because, you know, once upon a time, people didn't even have those. I feel like I do it twice a day at the moment. Oh my God.
Well, how many children have you got? I know, but, you know, for the purpose of the women listening, how many children?
Well, I've got 3 boys who seem to delight in taking a plate every single time they walk into the kitchen, like 3 glasses and a plate every time they move through my kitchen. So yeah, I'm very passionate about it. And you know, I have got this sort of, Now Is New came to me when I was trying to write a very serious book. And I spent 2 years writing this book about consciousness and thought, and got very serious. And I finished it, and you're not going to believe it, but I suddenly just knew it wasn't going to be helpful to anybody else. It was just, I mean, I was sort of really just trying to be so deep and get like, what is this and what's that, you know? And I wanted to write a helpful book. If I'm going to write a book, I want to write something that I would hope could potentially be helpful, not just kind of try and work everything out. And so Now Is New was really born from that. It's kind of like just trying to see things simpler and simpler and simpler, you know? And I know that's the direction.
So is the book for young people or parents or both?
So I am passionate about working with young people, and I've set up a project to work specifically with young people, especially those that are struggling. But the book, I would hope it's written in language that hopefully is accessible to younger people. I'm 16 plus, it's quite adult material in there. But I would hope that exercise of trying to get things simpler has been really helpful for me. So the idea is it's for anyone that's struggling, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So the project, is that also called Now Is New?
So we've got Now Is New is a sort of crazy project. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's to kind of create the impossible. I want to find language to connect with 1 million young people that, you know, might be struggling in the world, whatever that is. So that's a kind of a new game. When I recover myself from publishing the book, that's what I want to be doing. which is doing things on TikTok and that kind of stuff. Which is really fun once you start
my
doing
son's
it.
On TikTok, did you know?
I did. I think I've actually seen that. I love that. I love TikTok. It's hilarious. I love human beings. I mean, I love all of them. You know, you flick through and you're just like, it's just brilliant.
So you're on TikTok, aren't you? I've put your link, and I will add it to the show notes, but I have already put your link.
Oh, but I don't get too excited. I haven't posted anything about 3 months on it. I'm very sort of, I will. That's kind of what I really want to be doing. And then I also am developing a kind of workshops to do with organisations that work with young people. So, and then I also teach businesses and things. So it's, I'm just doing the do, Charlie,
Aren't we all?
Exactly.
So what would you say then to parents who might be struggling? What one piece of advice would you give? Because I was talking to someone today, in actual fact, who was sort of describing her 2 eldest going through quite a lot of difficulties, and I think it causes parents quite a lot of internal stress themselves. So
me too. I have my own kids and my own kind of triggers with that, my own little thought patterns. It used to be a bit more of a catastrophe for me. Like, I remember my toddler like pocketing a car or something, and in my head he was going to end up in like, we can catastrophize quite a lot with our kids.
Oh God, we go
100 steps down the road where they're in prison or on destitute or I don't know, whatever. So we can kind of go from 0 to 60, and me too. Have I got advice? I suppose this is what I'm interested in as a parent, is where am I at? Where am I at? And if it looks to me like I need to go in and start pointing fingers and have a go or get real serious, I probably need to not do that. It really looks like I should do that. Can I just say? Really looks like when I get that sort of thinking that is urgent, and I need to tell them, and I need to tell them this, and I need to do that, and they need to do this and that. No, take a walk, do anything, especially teenagers, because they've got very little bandwidth for us anyway. I mean, as parents. And I just find the conversations just go so much better when I know I'm okay. And that's really, I suppose that's really the fundamental game that I play, is really showing people that they are okay no matter what. And I mean, really, despite terrible situations, the okayness is found in the now. I mean, only ever. It's not we'll be okay when, if, because, no. Right now, this spark of life is in me. I've got everything I need. And that's the kind of okayness. It's very, I'm gonna say basic, but it's quite magical too. I don't know what it is, where it comes from. It's pretty magical. But it is quite basic, and it's really not personal to me. Like, I don't do it, which is excellent news for me.
So what you're saying is that when we can all, I mean, Zach's just moved out, so I've only got my dog to get annoyed at. So I was getting a bit annoyed when she was barking, right? So imagine that's a teenager,
right?
And you feel like, right, what you're saying is that's possibly not a great time to go head on with any human, actually, let alone a teenager, to go and just settle down yourself and then try and have the conversation. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And then in that place, the young person's probably calmed down and you're more likely to speak to their health.
That's absolutely spot on. When we settle down, and I think, again, this is one of the absolute gifts, isn't it, of understanding these principles that are not personal to us.
Yeah.
They're in our children.
Yes.
Even if
They're really annoying.
they're really annoying or really bad or whatever they're doing, or just, you know, a lot of children, they're really struggling. And, you know, I know that, you know, I work with kids, I see it. And, you know, it can end in tragedy. I'm not gonna pretend that doesn't happen. But I know the best shot I've got of connecting is when I am not looking for them to make me okay. When I'm not putting that also on their plate. When I can find my okayness within me, and I'm more likely to speak to that place in them. And maybe not, you know, but certainly, you know, going harder, I don't know if that works very well.
What you've just said's given me goosebumps. And I hope people hear what you've just said. And if I can, I'll replay it when I edit it. But that piece about wanting your kids' behavior to make you okay, or wanting them to behave in a way that's going to make you okay, that is huge.
Yeah. It's so innocent. Like, we want the best. I mean, we want our kids to do well or have a great life. We want the best for them. But because of our misunderstandings about life, what that is, you know, we innocently bring that to them too. And it is totally innocent. Because, you know, I do sometimes shout at my kids too. I've got 4 of them. I work. I've got precious myself that look real. They look very real to me too. But what I've got now is the capacity to not always do that. To sometimes think, oh, Kat, you feel like screaming. Take a walk. Or to say sorry. To reconnect back. If I've gone off. Look, you know, I want the best for you. And it looked to me like I had to, you know, have a good old shout. Because we don't always get it right. You know, we're humans and we're all just really doing the best we can. And we all want, I think ultimately, and we all want to be okay. We all want to be okay. You know, feel a bit of security, but free, but, you know, we want, and that really is only generated within us, isn't it? It really is not found out there. That feeling state is generated within us, within our body, within this mind, and within this, from this spark of life that just has so much intelligence in it, you know.
Kat, that's absolutely wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah, that is really very useful. I really think, you know, and if people want to find you, I mean, I'm going to put the book link, you know, go buy your book. I think that would be good. But can people contact you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm, you know, on Instagram. I'm starting up this new project now. Is new, but I'm under my name, Katherine Chidiac. Also, DM me, message me. I'd love to hear from you. I love looking this way. I find it heartbreaking how we struggle and suffer in life, and anything I can do to point people back home to what's true for us all is my absolute pleasure, really. There's just nothing else I really want to do, because you know, some people, we live our whole lives struggling and suffering and just missing this beauty just before that, you know, just before that.
Thank you so much for your time and your wonderful wisdom for this podcast. I've really, really loved it, and we're going to move on to my circle, ladies, and we're going to carry this conversation on. But for the purpose of the podcast, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Charlie. It's been lovely.
Yeah, no, it really has. And thank you as well, because this is live in my Facebook community. So
I can't see you all, and I'm not. I don't think you can find me on Facebook. Actually, I think I'm there, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, I have tagged you, but I know you're not on Facebook.
I
But
don't
I have
log in. I'm sorry, everyone. So yeah, maybe don't message me on Facebook, because I don't tend to see anything on there. But
yeah,
no,
but if they do, if you do message her and she doesn't, she's not ignoring you, message me and I will pass them on and give you her details if somehow that they're missed in all the show notes. But yes, you've got some lovely comments, not that you'll see because you're not on Facebook.
And I love the group freedom. I mean, you're onto it. Everyone in this group, like, we know freedom, this is it. It's in you already.
It certainly is. Right, ladies, thank you for joining me. Kat, you stay where you are. Circle sisters, you can now come in. We'll see you later. Take care, everybody. Ciao. Oh my God.